If I could keep one thing from my entire personal development journey, it wouldn't be money, business skills, confidence. It would be my peace. Because once I found my peace, my entire life got 10 times easier. Now, just to be clear, my life isn't easier than the average person by any means. It's not that my life has an absence of problems. It's just how I look at those quote unquote problems and how I move forward, just what my frame of mind, my frame of thinking is on a regular basis when those type of obstacles come up. Because now I'm at the point where nothing stresses me out and nothing really bothers me too much at all. I'm pretty even, so don't get too high and I don't get too low. I just live my life that way. Yes, I still get excited about things, don't get me wrong, but I'm very even tempered, and as far as my stress level, like I said, it's pretty much non-existent. Now, I mentioned this a bunch of times, but meditation is what changed everything for me. I started meditating around 7 years ago or so. I was about 22 years old. And once I discovered meditation and became consistent with it, my entire life changed for the better. I mean, it's a night and day difference between how I used to be before meditating and how I process thoughts, stress, problems afterwards. You would think that you're talking to a whole nother person. And I'm sure the people who speak to me now or converse with me now compared to high school Alan or even early college Alan, they would think it's a whole nother person because I do feel different. Once I meditated consistently, I just found peace and calmness, serenity, and I found a way to stay in that zone even outside of when I am meditating. It just became a normal part of my life, quite frankly. And there were hundreds, there were so many different benefits that came with meditating, but the peace and serenity, calmness on an everyday basis was the main theme. And that led to higher confidence, being able to speak to anybody, being more clear with my communication, just being able to get more difficult challenges done. There's a laundry list of things that benefited from that peace and calmness. And one of my main takeaways was that everything always works out. There's always a solution for everything in life, no matter what the circumstance is. That's literally the lens that I live my life through. When I was meditating, that is just something that I'm not sure if it popped in my head randomly, because when you are meditating, your mind is clear. Meditating silences all of the outside noise and gives you a chance to really think and get that knowledge from the higher power. Whatever religion you are, there's a higher power that it sounds crazy, but you kind of get access to when you're meditating and just thinking clearly of all of the nonsense that's in this universe nowadays. So when you start meditating, everything slows down. You don't let life speed you up. You don't live life on other people's circumstances. You start to learn to observe your thoughts, and you become more observant overall, but your thoughts, that's the biggest thing, and that's where you see the biggest growth. Because now when you have any negative or thoughts that don't serve you in any way, you're observing why and where they came from, versus if you don't have that way of thinking, you're more reactive. That's how you start to get stressed out, and that leads to just a more hectic life. Now, now your mental environment is everything. You can meditate every single day for multiple hours a day, but if you're still around the wrong people, you're still receiving the wrong type of messaging through the media, TV, whatever, then you might as well kiss the peace and serenity goodbye, because you're letting everything into your bubble. You literally have to guard your mind like it's the most important thing that you will ever come across. You have to think of it as like an actual security guard on your mind. And when it comes to bad ideas, negative talk, ideas that don't serve you at all, you cannot let those in, because you may think you're mentally strong enough, but we all have a subconscious mind that we're not even thinking about. And when you let those negative thoughts and ideas seep in, you start to form a really bad pattern that alters your way of thinking in a negative way. You may come across some people that are just really anxious people, or you may be anxious yourself, and you have to think about what they're consuming on an everyday basis. Is it the news? Because the news can be extremely negative, and I simply stay away from the news. And some people think that's crazy, like, oh, how are you informed? But in our reality, if something bad enough happens to the point where I need to know about it, somebody that watches the news is going to let me know. I mean, let's be real. Like, you don't have to watch the news every single day. There's a lot of negativity in the media that affects your way of thinking. It affects your peace and your stress levels, anxiety levels. And crazy enough, people start their day with watching the news and getting all the negative stories that happen. They plant that into their head and then they go interact with the world. And it's very backwards to me. And also, I mentioned conversations and people. I don't tolerate anybody that is a negative, woe is me, something always bad happens to me type of person. I stay away from those people, because if something bad always happens to you, there's a reason, there's a type of energy you're bringing about yourself, and I don't tolerate that into my life. And it does not matter who you are, trust me, it doesn't matter. I do not tolerate that. Life is short. I know how powerful the mind can be and how ideas that don't serve you can seep into your mind. So I take it very seriously, and it's changed my life. It's allowed me to constantly grow and evolve and get to that next level. My superpower from meditation and completely being at peace is optimism. I can find a solution in any circumstance, and it doesn't matter what it is. There's no circumstance that can defeat me. I know there's always a different alternative route, or a million different ways to solve certain situations, solve certain problems, and I live my life that way. I don't let one hiccup or one obstacle catch me up for too long, because I know there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And yeah, it may be uncomfortable and whatnot, but that's besides the point. There is a solution, so why be negative about it? Why lose confidence over it? Peace isn't something that you just find one day. It's something that you manage and build every single day. And as much positive videos, or you may be watching this video and other videos that are similar on YouTube, as much as that stuff that you take in, you have to avoid the complete opposite just as much. The negativity from people, TV, whatever. You have to protect your mind at all costs, and you will see exponential growth in whatever you are doing. Trust me. If you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe and leave a like, and I'll catch you at the next one.